It's a murder trial that has gripped Kazakhstan and put a spotlight on domestic violence in the Central Asian country.
Я наносил ей удары по лицу, я признаю, нанес побои, но у меня не было мыслей, я не считал, что вот пощечина или может причинить смерть.
Former Kazakh economy minister Kuandak Bishimbayev is on trial in Astana, accused of murdering his 31-year-old wife, Saltanat Nukenova. She was found dead in November in a restaurant owned by his family. The coroner's report said Nukenova died from brain trauma after suffering broken bones and bruises to her face, head, and body. The testimony prompted this emotional outburst from Nukenova's grieving mother. Bishimbayev is charged with torture and murder using extreme violence. But he claims it was all an accident.
Я не признаю вину в умышленном убийстве с особой жестокостью.
The case has been followed by millions of viewers in Kazakhstan, and the unprecedented attention has sparked demands for tougher punishment for domestic violence. More than 400 women die from spousal violence in the country every year, according to the United Nations.
And because domestic violence often goes unpunished in Kazakhstan, especially for people with connections, with money, and that's what many people can talk about.
The case has also been watched closely by Kazakhs living abroad. In Prague, Warsaw, and Rome, they have held protests to raise global awareness about the issue of domestic violence in their country.
Күн сайын көптеген әйелдер, көптеген балалар, мыңдаған, миллиондаған кісілер күн сайын зорлық-зомбылықтың астында болуда, үйде болсын, сыртта болсын, білмеймін, өте көп жағдайлар болуда.
Protesters and rights groups say domestic violence cases are rarely investigated properly.
Бала сондай іске барар алдында ол ойлайды, мен осы істі жасасам, не болады деп ойлайды. Мен тек қана 10 күн отырам, все, шығамда спокойно кете беремін. Сол заң болмағасын, ол спокойно өзін жасағысы келетін жасай береді.
Human Rights Watch has been documenting domestic abuse in Kazakhstan and says women seeking help rarely get any support.
We also documented back then how survivors of domestic violence remain with lack of access to services and protection and justice in particular. We also documented how police response was very weak. They often discouraged survivors to file a complaint, for example. They didn't adequately and properly inform them of the protection mechanisms that they could exploit, such as protection orders, for example. And that's been for years.
In light of the ex-minister's murder trial and the brutal nature of his wife's death, Kazakh lawmakers have passed tougher penalties for convicted abusers. It's a positive step, but one that doesn't go far enough, say rights groups, because it fails to criminalize domestic violence as a standalone offense.
So we can't really say that domestic violence was criminalized. It's basically battery and intentional infliction of light bodily harm were removed, transferred back from the administrative code to the criminal code. There are so many nuances into domestic violence that general laws are not really able to cover fully. And that's what we feel was a missed opportunity. The government had the chance to be explicit and have a stronger language, but unfortunately we did not see it.
Back in the Astana courtroom, chilling security camera footage was shown from the night Nukenova died. Her husband was seen repeatedly kicking and punching her. Violent images were also found on his phone.
Я, честно говоря, не могу понять, Ваша честь. Сейчас объяснить свое поведение в тот момент. Просто это было желание как-то тоже ответить унижением на унижение.
If found guilty of his wife's murder, Kuanduk Bishimbayev could face up to 20 years in prison.